A few weeks ago, I mastered this really cool track called Planet Prison for Nolan Neal. You probably know him for America's Got Talent and The Voice. In this video, I'm going to show you a cool trick to add some movement and bounce at the mastering stage and bring some dynamic back in the track. This is a specific effect that I use for his track, but you can grab the concept and expand and experiment with it. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, welcome back to MixBus TV. Hope you're having a great day. Before we start, please check the info box down below for my mixing courses on Pro Mix Academy, free plugins, special offers and discount, and of course if you want to support the channel, but most important, if you really want to learn how to mix and master professionally, click the join button down here, become a MixBus TV member, and stop guessing and wasting time with other scam courses out there. Access the already big and always growing library of start to finish full mixing courses, mastering courses and special videos, and a lot more. You also get mix consultations with me via Skype or email. Let's get to the video. All right, let's start by listening to the final product, to the mastered track. I want you to focus and pay attention to one specific thing, especially when the chorus comes in. Listen to the bounce that is especially in the chorus. Every time the kick hits, you have this bouncing movement on the entire track, okay? The intention was exactly that, to make the kick drum feel even more powerful without turning the level of the kick drum or the EQ up. Which would have eaten headroom, okay? And this bounce was already in the mix. That's why I said at the beginning to bring dynamics back, because this effect was already in the mix a little bit, but with the mastering process, it kind of went away a little bit, and Nolan wanted more of this. So I came out with this trick. Let's listen to the track first. All right, you get the idea. Really cool track, really powerful song. Let me play you another snip here so you can, again, focus on that effect. All right, really cool, especially after that breakdown there, when there's the sub sound and then the kick comes in, you can really hear that effect. You can go back and re-listen to it. So just to give you quick information about the master, in this case I had the option to either work with a final mix or with two stems, with instrumental and vocal. I decided to go with options 2 because I felt like the vocals were a little too synced into the mix, and I also wanted to color the two parts. I immediately, as soon as I heard it, I immediately got a feeling that I could color the instrumental part in a certain way and add a little more energy to it. Same with the vocals. So for example, on the instrumental part here, I have my API 5500 EQ, boosting lows, low, mid, and mids, just half a dB frequencies. They're not important. On the vocals, I had 2 pieces of hardware, and one I don't have it anymore. I had the West Audio Prometheus, the Pultec style, which I was using to add the drive, the THD drive to the vocal stem, and also a little bit of top end and a little bit of bottom end, going into the expressor for like 1 dB of compression. I don't have the Prometheus anymore, so I throw in the 1974, the drummer, just to try to match the curves a little bit. So when I play the Pro Tools session as opposed to the final master track, it will sound different, but that's not important, okay? As for the rest of the analog chain for this master, I had the Neves and then the Fusion SPL. I have the Fatso in it and the West Audio mastering compressor and the Spacecraft. And then I have some plugins here. You can take a look, but let's get to the trick. Okay, so I wanted for the entire song to enhance this feeling that was already in the mix. Every time the kick hits, it kind of ducks a little bit at the entire track, okay? This gives this sense of power. There are many bands that use this technique. One that comes to mind is corn, okay? A little goes a long way, even just half a dB to a dB and a half top, okay? The key for something like this is, of course, the release of the bounce, because if that's against the groove, it will sound awful, okay? So to do this, I copied the instrumental part, the instrumental stem, and it's this green track right here. So if I play this to you without anything on it, it just sounds like the instrumental. Okay, nothing special here. What I needed to create from this track is my trigger to isolate the kick drum and send it to a compressor that I have here on the master track. In this case, I use the DS1 MK3. I'll show you how. I needed to isolate the kick drum from the instrumental stem. So I used Pro Q3 first, and we absolutely don't care how this track sounds because it's not going to any output. I'm just using it to trigger my compressor. So I isolate it with this band pass here. Because it was a little too flabby and didn't have that clear transient, it wasn't triggering the compressor the way I wanted, I added the dynamite from Softtube. Without, with, okay? These particular settings literally create the click because they're so fast, and the low end information usually stresses compressors a lot. And the dynamite is also a colored compressor, is also like a really snappy compressor. So literally the artifacts from the dynamite on top of the action of the compressor creates this click, you know, which is, you wouldn't put it on a track on the output, but we don't care about that. After that, I use the L2 because those clicks and those kick hits were not consistent. And I can show you later by opening the vice and remove the L1. Okay, it was trigger, a couple of hits, it was triggered like too much, and few others, it was triggering enough. So again, because we don't care about how this sounds, I used L2 to even out those clicks. And I sent this to bus 2324, just a number there, and I used the Vice DS1 MK3. I clicked bus 23 here in the key to use the external sidechain to trigger this compressor, which is, of course, on the master, before my mastering chain, before my analog chain, sorry. Okay, so if I play this without, okay, you can already hear it. Let me just go to that spot in the chorus, which is obvious. I'm gonna exaggerate the effect here so you can hear it, but this is how it was in the final mix. Okay, it's subtle, but this is what you want. You don't want an EDM kind of effect in this. It's very, very subtle, and again, it's critical to set up the attack and release of this compressor correctly. Otherwise, you have this bounce that is against the groove. So if you want to do something like this, you know, even an effect of this type, you need to remember that. And another very important thing to notice is how I set up my filter on the DS1 MK3. This is why I use this compressor. So if I left this compressor wideband, every time the compressor was triggered, it would have ducked the entire track, including the kick drum, which would have made this entire thing completely useless because the kick was not able to come out, right? So you can see I set this one up with an HPF filter and the frequency at around 110, which is right above the higher harmonic of the kick, the body of the kick is, okay? So basically, in this case, the compressor is compressing everything from 110 and above, but not below. So the kick drum and the bass, in this case, are left alone. That's how you create this bounce. And of course, I use the DS1, and I would not use anything else on a master because how transparent the filters are and how transparent the action is. So you only feel the effect and nothing else, okay? I can actually show you the gain reduction because we have a graphic display here. You see, that is key. You see how precise it is in ducking the track, like every single kick hit. And this is all about precision. Again, how you set up the green track, how you make this trigger. The ratio in this case is a 1.28. That was the right amount. The softening is a 0 because I only want the compressor to react precisely to those click that I created with the green track, okay? I don't want it to catch something else below the threshold, okay? So it needs to be hard. I'm going to increase the ratio so you can hear the effect. Okay, I'm gonna go halfway. Okay, so you hear the line between annoying and cool movement is very, very thin. So when you do something like this, you know, you need to be extremely precise. You need to use precise tools and everything. And like I said, this is a very specific type of effect that many, many artists use. I don't know how many people ever use this in mastering. And like I said, we wanted to kind of preserve and enhance this effect that was in the mix, but of course with the mastering process, sometimes things like that, because you add density to the track, are kind of reduced, and we agreed that was a cool effect. So I just came out with this trick and brought it back and made it, you know, controllable at this point. Because in fact, I printed 2 versions for this, one with a little more obvious effect and one a little less, and then, you know, we picked the one that we like the best with Nolan. If you're curious, what else do I have on this master? Not much. I have, like I said, the exciter, the ozone exciter, a little bit there, and the curve bender, my API, and the Pro MB just enhancing the transit of kick and snare a little bit. So kick and snare, you can see the scale is at 3 dB, so I'm just 1 to 2 dB there. EQ 1 still vice on the master to remove a little bit of rumble. Down there's a 13 Hertz and control this mid-range here, which is, let me see, just out of curiosity, 7.4K. So small moves. Everything else was done in analog. I added this one. This is the EQ Citral from Arturia, the new bundle, which is very, very, very nice. It's funny because I kind of emulated the curve that I now have with my new analog EQs, but it was a really nice color. Just small moves. And then you can see I have a little bit of volume automation on the actual master, and then my limiting process, my clipping and limiting process, which involves also clipping my 80+. I think this is it for this video. I hope it was useful. I hope you liked it. And if you want to see more and more in-depth, actually full mastering courses, click the join button down here, become a member. There are already many on the channel for members only, and there will be more in the future. If you have any questions, drop them down below. If you want to check out the track again, this is Planet Prison, Nolan, Neal, America's Got Talent, and The Voice. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe. See you next time.
Hands on my neck, hands grip my throat, lift me up.